Hi, I'm Cassidy Lord, coordinator for the Oconee River Watershed Partnership, a collaborative multi-stakeholder project in the Oconee River Watershed to secure drinking water quality and quantity through long-term forest land conservation. Today we're going to discuss source water protection and the forest drinking water connection. We'll go over watershed conditions in the Upper Oconee and talk about the local opportunity to develop source water protections in our area. In order to have this conversation, we need to define both source water and source water protection. Source water is water from rivers, lakes, reservoirs, springs, and groundwater that provides water to public drinking water supplies and private wells. Source water protection is actions and activities that safeguard, maintain, and improve the quality and/or quantity of drinking water sources in their contributing areas. Examples of source water protection include riparian buffer restoration, stream bank stabilization, best management practices for agriculture, forestry, and stormwater control, development of local ordinances, and land protection such as conservation easement acquisition. In Georgia, there's a direct link between the amount of forest land cover in a watershed and the availability of drinking water. As forest land cover decreases, drinking water treatment costs increase. Up to 50 to 55% of the variation in treatment costs can be attributed to the percent of forest cover in a watershed. As impervious surfaces increase due to development, turbidity also increases because of increased erosion. Inversely, when forest cover increases, treatment costs decrease, so there is benefits of reforestation. Reduction of forest land cover also alters stream flows. In areas of tilled land, peak flows were greater than in areas of forested land. On the opposite end of the hydrologic spectrum, urban base flows are less than forest land base flows due to impeded infiltration of rainwater. Negative ecosystem effects can begin to be seen at less than 10% imperviousness in a watershed. These negative effects include elevated nutrient and contaminant levels and altered channel morphology. The Upper Oconee Basin is a forested source water watershed. 94 to 98% of our drinking water comes directly from surface water sources. The primary sources are the Middle and North Oconee rivers, both of which are on the 303D list of impaired waters for fecal coliform contamination. There's a 52% projected population increase in the Upper Oconee Basin by 2050. Additionally, the Altamaha watershed, including the Oconee watershed, is one of 3 East Coast watersheds that's expected to experience a greater than 60% increase in urban land cover between 1997 and 2060. As more people are in the watershed, there's greater demand for drinking water supplies. The primary source of drinking water in the Athens area is the Bear Creek Reservoir, which supplies drinking water to Oconee, Jackson, and Barrow County, and raw water to Athens. There's a 24% chance that the raw water demand will be exceeded in Bear Creek Reservoir by 2034. This just increases with time, as there's a 50% chance that the demand will be exceeded by 2050. As of 2016, about 60% of the watershed is in a natural condition. The U.S. Forest Service has determined that 35 to 40% of the drinking water at the Bear Creek Reservoir intake comes directly from these forests. The Upper Oconee Conservation Prioritization Index concluded that up to 20,000 acres of forest loss is expected due to urban expansion in the Upper Oconee watershed in the next few decades. But there is a local opportunity to implement source water protections. This work is funded through a U.S. Forest Service landscape scale restoration grant administered by the Georgia Forestry Commission. This work is coached and facilitated by the Southeastern Partnership for Forests and Water and implemented by the Upper Oconee Watershed Network. We're fortunate to recently receive funding through the Network for Landscape Conservation through their Catalyst Fund in partnership with Oconee River Land Trust to implement the Oconee River Watershed Partnership. The goal of this work is to ensure a healthy forested Oconee watershed that provides safe, reliable drinking water through strong partnerships, collaboration, funding, and action. It's our vision that the Oconee watershed is healthy, drinking water is safe and reliable, partners collaborate, and funds exist for long-term landscape scale conservation. Our conservation efforts are focused on high priority areas using the full range of available tools, including sustainable conservation finance mechanisms. The partnership increases the understanding that healthy forests are the best land use for clean water and watershed health, and is guided by a regional strategic watershed protection plan. Our work is also guided by the conservation work of the Upper Oconee Conservation Prioritization Index. Our objectives include information sharing and relationship building, as well as facilitating partnerships and projects. We conduct public outreach and communication, as well as background research on water fund development. We also strive to explore and increase funding opportunities. There's been a lot of foundational work to build the partnership in the watershed. Our primary goal was to identify the need for sustained long-term conservation action in the watershed. We were able to create the Oconee Watershed Coordinator position using the Landscape Scale Restoration Grant funding through the Georgia Forestry Commission. In 2019, we hosted the Upper Oconee Forest and Drinking Water Forum, which convened over 40 professionals to discuss water fund development in the Upper Oconee watershed. Development of the Oconee River Watershed Partnership has recruited over 20 partners, and our Upper Oconee Conservation Prioritization Index, GIS analysis, was completed in spring 2020. Next steps for the partnership include development and adoption of governance structures for the partnership, development of committees to guide project implementation, and development of a conservation action plan. We're also working on landowner outreach and continue to recruit more partners. Although this work is innovative, it's by no means novel. There are plenty of successful water funds that exist across the country who have successfully used conservation finance mechanisms for source water protection programs. If you'd like more information, feel free to contact me or look at the Southeastern Partnership for Forests and Water website at southeasternpartnership.org. Thanks for your time.